Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conversational English, the podcast that helps you learn English through natural, everyday conversations. I'm Maya.
And I'm Sam. Today we're talking about something we all do every single day, our morning routines.
That's right. We're going to share how we start our days, and then we'll explore how people in different countries and cultures begin their mornings. It's really fascinating.
Totally. And for our English learners out there, this is a great topic because morning routines use so many common, everyday words and phrases.
Exactly. So, Sam, let's start with you. What's your typical morning routine like?
Well, I have to admit, I'm not really a morning person. My alarm goes off at 7 a.m., and I usually hit the snooze button at least 2 times.
Oh no, the snooze button is so tempting, isn't it?
It really is. So I finally get up around 7:20. The first thing I do is make coffee. I can't function without my morning coffee. Then I take a quick shower, brush my teeth, get dressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I grab a piece of toast or a banana and head out the door. Pretty basic, but it works for me.
That sounds efficient. I'm totally the opposite. I'm definitely a morning person. I love waking up early.
Really? How early are we talking here?
I set my alarm for 6 a.m. and I actually get up right away. No snooze button for me. I start with a big glass of water, then I do some light stretching or yoga for about 15 minutes.
Wow, that's impressive. Yoga in the morning? That sounds so peaceful.
It really is. Then I make myself a healthy breakfast, usually oatmeal with fruit or scrambled eggs. I like to sit down and eat slowly, not rush. And I always check the weather before I get dressed.
That's so organized. I should probably try that. But you know what's interesting? Our routines are pretty typical for Americans, but morning routines vary so much around the world.
Yes, that's what I find so fascinating. For example, in Japan, many people start their day with something called Ragio Taiso. It's a group morning exercise.
Group exercises? Tell me more about that.
So every morning at 6:30, there's a radio program that plays exercise music. People gather in parks, school playgrounds, even in front of businesses, and they do simple exercises together. It's been a tradition for almost 100 years.
That's amazing. So it builds community right from the start of the day. I love that idea.
Exactly. And then there's Germany, where many people have what they call Frühstück, which just means breakfast, but it's a really big deal there.
Oh yeah, German breakfasts are huge, aren't they?
They are. Germans typically have fresh bread rolls called Brötchen, different types of cheese, cold cuts like ham or salami, boiled eggs, and jam. And they take time to enjoy it. Breakfast isn't something you rush through.
That sounds so much better than my grab-and-go banana. What about other countries?
Well, in Mexico, many people start with café de olla. It's coffee made with cinnamon and brown sugar in a clay pot. It gives the coffee this amazing flavor.
That sounds delicious. Much more interesting than my regular coffee.
And in many parts of India, people start their day by doing Surya Namaskara, sun salutations. It's a series of yoga poses to greet the sun and prepare the body and mind for the day.
That's beautiful. It sounds so much more mindful than just rushing out the door.
It really is. And in Sweden and other Scandinavian countries, even in winter when it's still dark, many people make sure to get some fresh air. They call it frisk luft, fresh air. They believe it's important for your health.
Even when it's freezing cold?
Even when it's freezing. They have a saying, there's no bad weather, only bad clothes. So they bundle up and go for a quick walk or just step outside for a few minutes.
I love that saying. What about breakfast foods? Are there other interesting morning meals around the world?
Oh, yes. In Turkey, they have this amazing breakfast spread called kahvaltı. It includes cheese, olives, tomatoes, cucumbers, honey, jam, and fresh bread. And they eat it very slowly, often taking an hour or more.
An hour for breakfast? Wow, that's so different from our rushed culture here.
Exactly. And in China, many people start with congee. It's a rice porridge that's very gentle on the stomach. They believe warm foods in the morning are better for your body than cold foods.
That makes sense, actually. Starting with something warm and easy to digest.
Mm-hmm. And here's something really interesting. In many African countries, like Ethiopia, people start their day with a coffee ceremony. It's not just about drinking coffee, it's a whole social ritual.
A ceremony? Tell me about that.
So, the woman of the house, and it's traditionally women who do this, roasts fresh coffee beans, grinds them by hand, and then brews the coffee in a special pot called a jabina. The whole process takes about an hour, and family and neighbors gather around to talk and share news.
That sounds like such a wonderful way to connect with people before the day starts. It's like community building right in your morning routine.
Exactly. And you know what I notice about all these different routines? They all seem to value taking time in the morning, not rushing. Whether it's exercise, a big breakfast, or a coffee ceremony, people make time.
That's such a good point. Maybe we could learn something from that. I'm definitely guilty of rushing through my mornings.
Me too, sometimes. But I think there's also something really beautiful about how these routines reflect each culture's values. Like in Japan, community and health are important. In Germany, taking time to enjoy food. In India, spiritual preparation for the day.
Right. And for our English learners, this is actually a great way to learn about culture while practicing language. Morning routines are such a window into how people live.
Absolutely. And the vocabulary is so practical, too. Words like alarm clock, snooze button, brush your teeth, get dressed, these are things you use every single day.
Plus, phrases like I'm a morning person or I'm not a morning person, grab and go, take your time, rush through, all really useful for describing habits and routines.
Yes, and if you want to practice, try describing your own morning routine to someone. It's a great conversation starter, and everyone has one.
That's perfect advice. Before we wrap up, Maya, have any of these morning routines inspired you to try something new?
You know what? I really want to try that Mexican coffee with cinnamon and brown sugar. And maybe I should take more time with breakfast instead of eating so quickly. What about you?
I'm definitely inspired by that German breakfast idea. Maybe if I prepare a nice breakfast the night before, I won't have to rush so much. And maybe, just maybe, I'll try getting up without hitting snooze.
That sounds great. You know what? We've talked about so many different countries, but I'm curious about some other places too. What about France? I feel like the French must have interesting morning routines.
Oh yes, in France, they have this beautiful tradition called petit déjeuner, which literally means small lunch, but it's actually breakfast. And many French people still go to the local boulangerie to buy fresh croissants and baguettes every morning.
Fresh bread every morning? That sounds amazing. I love the idea of starting the day by walking to the bakery and talking to your neighbors.
Exactly. And then there's Brazil, where many people start their day on the beach if they live near the coast. They go for morning walks or runs along the ocean and then stop at little stands to get fresh coconut water or acai bowls.
Starting the day at the beach? That sounds like paradise. No wonder Brazilians seem so happy and energetic.
Right? And speaking of interesting routines, in South Korea, many people start their day with skincare rituals. They have this whole multi-step morning skincare routine that can take 10 or 15 minutes, cleansing, toning, moisturizing, and applying sunscreen.
15 minutes just for skincare? That's dedication. But I bet their skin looks amazing. It shows how different cultures prioritize different aspects of self-care.
Absolutely. And then there's Russia, where many people start their day with a cold shower or even an ice-cold plunge if they live near water. They believe it boosts energy and strengthens the immune system.
A cold shower first thing in the morning? Brr, I can barely handle lukewarm water when I first wake up. That would definitely wake me up, though.
I know, right? But you know what's really different? In Italy, many people have what they call colazione al bar, which means breakfast at the bar. But it's not what we think of as a bar. It's more like a cafe.
Oh, right, like an espresso bar. What do they usually have for breakfast there?
Exactly. They'll have a strong espresso and maybe a cornetto, which is like a croissant, and they eat it standing up at the bar counter. It's quick, social, and they chat with the barista and other customers. It takes maybe 10 minutes total.
I love how it's social but efficient at the same time. What about Australia? Do they have any unique morning traditions?
Well, in Australia, especially in places like Sydney and Melbourne, many people start their day with a morning swim at the beach, even in winter. They call them polar bears, people who swim in cold water year-round.
Swimming in winter? These people around the world are so much tougher than me. But you know what's interesting about all these routines? They're not just about getting ready for the day. They're about setting a positive tone.
That's such a great observation. Whether it's the Japanese group exercises, the German slow breakfast, the Ethiopian coffee ceremony, or the Brazilian beach walk, they're all about starting the day intentionally, not just stumbling into it.
Exactly. And I think there's something we can learn from that. Speaking of intentional mornings, what about places like Thailand? I feel like Buddhist countries might have interesting morning practices.
Yes, in Thailand, many people start their day by giving alms to Buddhist monks. Early in the morning, around 6 a.m., monks walk through the neighborhoods collecting food donations, and people come out of their houses to offer rice, curry, or fruit. It's called takbat.
That's beautiful. Starting the day with an act of generosity and mindfulness, it must create such a sense of purpose and community.
It really does. And you know what I'm realizing from all these examples? Different cultures emphasize different aspects. Some focus on physical health, like the Japanese exercises or Brazilian beach walks. Others emphasize social connection, like the Italian coffee bars or Ethiopian ceremonies.
And some focus on mental or spiritual preparation, like the Indian sun salutations or the Thai almsgiving. And then there are the ones that prioritize nourishment and taking time, like the German breakfast or the Turkish spread.
That's such a good way to think about it. Maybe we can ask ourselves, what do I want my morning to emphasize? Do I want more physical activity, social connection, mindfulness, or just more time to enjoy food and prepare for the day?
I love that. And for English learners listening, we've used so many great expressions today, like setting a positive tone, stumbling into the day, taking time to enjoy, and acts of generosity. These are all really useful phrases for describing habits and intentions.
And you know what? Even if you can't completely change your morning routine, just adding one small element from another culture could make your mornings more interesting. Maybe try the Swedish fresh air idea. Just step outside for 2 minutes. Or the Korean mindful skincare approach.
That's such great advice. Small changes can make a big difference. And for anyone listening who's learning English, talking about daily routines is one of the best ways to practice using present tense and habitual phrases naturally.
That is absolutely right. And that's all for today's episode of Conversational English. We hope you enjoyed learning about morning routines around the world.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to practice describing your own morning routine and maybe try incorporating something new from another culture. Until next time, have a great day.
Bye, everyone.